All right. There we go. I think I fixed it. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, I don't know why StreamYard um, defaulted to another pair of outputs on my XR18. Oh, good to see you, Robbie. What do you think of my lighting? Yeah, so as I was saying, thanks for the birthday wishes. I really spent it on, I really spent the day just resting and relaxing. R&R, Rest and Records. And I was talking about records, and I haven't been record shopping in forever. Probably a year and a half. Matter of fact, the last thing I bought was this guy right here, Peter Gabriel's last album, which, in my opinion, is really, really good. Oh, thank you. I have to represent Robbie. I can't wait for the other one. The other one's going to be more Christmassy, and you know what? Talking about the other one, um, when we're talking about the other one, I do have the lighting to match. Yep, come here. There we go. There, that lighting will match the new album, the new vest. But anyway, and if you're wondering why you still see some blue, I'll go to my I'll go to the camera on my MacBook. Which I think really looks cool. So if I go here, there's the MacBook, and I get some strip lighting around the ceiling. Which honestly, I really like this color combo. Mm. But I've been wanting to do something with the lighting in here since I set all my stuff up, just to get some form of some form of ambiance. So I found I got 100-foot roll of LED strip lights on Amazon for like $10. They don't look too bad. They were easy to install. I have to find, if I want to expand them, I got to find some 8mm 4-pin connectors that'll work with these, and that shouldn't be an issue. But I probably have a whole nother 80 foot of this stuff, which is kind of cool. But let me go back to my main cam. I want that one. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I love that album. Yeah, so I mean, I might one of these days peruse around on Discogs, but as far as my vinyl goes, I feel like I have everything that I want right now. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that I would be looking for right now, other than maybe some original Kate Bush stuff, but that could get pretty pricey. I do want to get. I mean, I love. I've gotten up to listening to the fifth album, Hounds of Love, which is a brilliant album. I need to. I need to dive back in, and I'll have a couple of weeks off from helping out with the school where I'll be able to do that. But yeah, I definitely want to get the first 5 if I can find them. All right, so what do I want to do tonight? I've got some stuff hooked up. I swapped out something over here. I swapped out the SE1X Studio Electronics synth that I had over here. Gave that back to its rightful owner. If you peruse my YouTube channel, I did a review on it. I found that it's a pretty aggressive sounding synth. especially with the filter. And it's really good for like EDM, hip hop kind of stuff. There were a couple of little quirks with it. For one, if you have the transpose function set to the low setting, there's three settings: low, medium, and high. Similar to the octave switch on the Odyssey, where you have two octaves down, normal, and then two octaves up. If you have the transpose on the SE1X set to low and you tune the oscillators down to get a bass sound, the oscillator pitch will stop tracking after, below a certain range on the keyboard. I think it's probably below like the low E down here. So in order to get around that, I had to tune all the oscillators down and then turn the transpose up to high in order to get around that. The other quirk about it is the filter cutoff is not smooth at all. It might sound like it, but if you start turning the resonance up, it actually steps in semitones. So that's another little quirk about that. So if you get past those two things, it's a good sounding synth. I find it a bit on the aggressive side, like I said, but which is good for um, good if you're into EDM and hip hop stuff. So I gave that back and I swapped that out for my 2600, my Behringer 2600, which I have over here. And eventually I'll do a video on it. Probably not tonight. Um, I think maybe during the 2 weeks that I have off, I'll do a video on that. But um, I think I paid like 550 for it a couple years ago, and I really like it. Does it sound exactly like an ARP 2600? No. Um, but I love the workflow. It does sound good for what it is. And the thing with Behringer is it's a very polarizing company. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent, and I do that. A lot of people really like them, and a lot of people really hate them. A lot of people really hate the business part of it. And I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to talk negatively about anything here. Um, what I really like about them is they offer up, Mr. Jordan, hi. They offer up products for affordable prices, and at least in this day and age and in the recent years, I would say maybe from 2012 onward, maybe 2013 onward, really good quality stuff for the money. Quality is such a subjective. Um, nah, I don't want to go on. Quality is such a subjective term. A lot of people don't like Behringer's quality. I'm the same way, but it depends. Like I've had some really, really horrible Behringer stuff, like the earlier Eurorack series of mixers. I've had a couple of them, and I've had a power supply um, blow on one of them, which and that particular power supply you cannot get a replacement for. It was really hard to find, and it was the Eurorack MX 2004A. It was like a basic 16-channel board. I actually had three of them at one time. Um, but a lot of those Eurorack and Eurodesk boards, I found the preamps to be quite noisy. They got a little bit better with the Xenix boards, not that much though. I actually have a little like 4-channel Xenix on my desk over here that I use for my headphone amp, as well as running the audio from my computer into my stereo setup. Um, but I would say products like the X32 console, the XR18 digital mixer, little rack mount stage box, and a lot of their synthesizers are really, really good. Um, and I've got three of them. I sold my, I had a DeepMind 12, which was their first product, and I sold it. And the reason I sold it was for a polysynth, I've got to have more than 4 octaves. I need to have at least 5. Um, some people can get around with the 4, but with the way that I play, I've got to have 5. But as it stands right now, I've got a Model D, I've got an Odyssey. Both of those I need to get up here and figure out where I want to put them. And then I got this guy over here, the 2600. But I really I like all 3 of them. I haven't had any tuning issues with. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I if they bring out a module version, then I would be interested. And I would say the same thing about their they were teasing a Saturn clone a while back. That would be kind of cool. They had another one too. But yeah, I'm not interested in the Wave unless it was a 5 octave. But if I got the desktop, then bang, I can just MIDI it right to the Hydra. That would be a combination I want to try. Is that Wave with the Hydra? That would be a really cool palette of sounds right there. As my radiator goes off, and I got a noise gate on, so I'm going to try to. There we go. There's that famous gated snare sound. That sounds like a CR78. I'll tell you what. I'm good on keyboards right now. I don't see myself getting anything else unless I'm actively going to use it, or if I find a good deal on something that might be cool to have. I mean, especially on a fixed income like I have. I would probably, I feel like the next thing that I would want to get would probably be a CS6X Yamaha. I've heard really good things about those. I actually heard some sound demos, and because it's the same as the same electronics, the same internals as the S30, which I played about 10 years ago. I played an S30, got to try one out, and I really like the sounds that come out of that. I would probably either want to get a CS6X or an S30, again, just to mess around with. But then, I don't know. I would really like to find a JV80, because I really like those. Oh yeah. I would say the 6X and even the 2X seems like a cool instrument too. I like those mid 90s. I like those mid 90s Yamahas. I did play a CS1X years ago, like 20 years ago. It was a used one at a music store for like 300, and I ended up going with something else. But the 1X is nice, especially if you're somebody that uses the Yamaha XG palette, which is basically, for those that don't know what that is, it's Yamaha's version of General MIDI, which is 480 sounds, I think. It's their kind of own protocol for like patch changing and things like that. Roland had the GS, had what they called GS, which is the same thing. But what I'm talking about is something called General MIDI, which came out in, I want to say the 90s, early 90s. And it was basically a standard where you had 128 sounds, and you could, in any given instrument that was GM compatible. My Quadrasynth Plus is GM compatible, for example. And you could load in a standard MIDI file and you could play it back. It would basically automatically call up the right sounds for the right parts. And it was pretty handy. Yeah. It's one of those things, like if a synth has quirks to it, if you find a way to get around them and if you can get past those, unless they really get in the way of what your of your music, um, and you see the instrument for what it is, um, it's a really good instrument. I mean, a great example. I got a couple of great examples back here. The DX7, a nightmare to program on the keyboard itself, unless you really knew what you were doing, but it can get some amazing sounds. Now, when I say DX7, I think most people are gonna cringe at, the DX7 Rhodes piano or, things like that. Let me see. I wanna call up something really quick while I'm talking here. Um, they might think the Rhodes piano, the fake, electric piano sound that you hear in most '80s pop ballads. There might be the bass patch that's, most prominent, at least to my ears, on, songs like "Take on Me," "Danger Zone." No, I know not you, Robbie. I love FM myself. Um, Honestly, it's just another color in the palette. That's really the way I look at it. Um, and I love the sounds I can get out of it. And if you're somebody like, Manny Fernandez, who can work amazing magic with FM, um, yeah, I just really like it. I love FM. I really, really do. All right, if I go to, let me see here. I'm just pulling up a MIDI track. I just opened up Studio One. All right, there we go. There we go. So that's my DX7. A little bit hot. Let me fix that. Oh, you want the danger zone? Copyright strike. There you go. Or let's see. I don't really have a string patch up, but could do that. That's one of the more famous patches in it. I love it. I don't care how cliche many people, you know, say that it is. I love that patch. Um, Here's another one. Let's see. Nope. Where's my? There it is. The famous harmonica patch. There we go. The famous harmonica patch. I really like that. I've actually used it on. If you listen to my Walk in the Light album, it's a song called Renewal, and I mix it in with, I think, a pan flute from the Karma. Um, I do like that patch, and we also have the obligatory. Actually, let me. There we go. I love that sound. One thing I like doing with that DX7E piano, let me find a different one. I like layering it quite a bit. So these couple of examples, or with a electric piano, like with a Rhodes, a real Fender Rhodes. Just makes it sound a little bigger. And then if I throw some strings on it, I use that sound a lot for stuff that I do in church. It's a very light. I want to say it's got a very light atmosphere about it, which I really like. And then if I mix that in with an acoustic piano, let's go for something a little bit brighter. Yeah, see, that's like 1986 all over again. Anyway, okay. And actually, I gotta figure out how to turn the local off on the CK88. Idiot. Oh. Ah, there we go. All right, local control off. Now, add an instrument track and send that to SP88. There we go. APK management, how are you tonight? Oh, very cool. Got a few people watching. Awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll tell you something else I did over the past week. Other than swapping out the Kurzweil for my CK88 for right now, because I do want to have a weighted action instrument up here. and I don't feel like hauling the M8X up here. Um, so I wanted to be able to have a non-weighted and a weighted controller going into my DAW without having a bunch of USB cables going in. I already have 3 MIDI interfaces set up, if you include the XR18. Mhm. Oh, you like the lighting APK? So check this out. If I go to my, let's see, if I go to my webcam on my Mac, you'll see what's going on. So I've got some TP-Link smart bulbs up in the ceiling fixture, and then I found a 100-foot roll of strip lighting that I put around, basically around the studio, and everything's controlled from my phone. The smart bulbs, the TP-Link bulbs, are also controlled from my Amazon Echo, so I can basically make it change color like this. Alexa, change studio lights to blue. See? She doesn't listen. Change studio light color to blue. Yeah, they don't listen. Alexa, change studio light color to blue. Yeah, I know you didn't get that. Alexa, change the color of my lights to blue. Oh, shut up. I love it. I love having an argument with Alexa. So when she doesn't listen, then I can just grab my phone. Shut up. There we go. Just the phone app and a stylus pen, and I can change the colors. A lot easier than having to deal with, you know, her. And by her, I mean the Amazon Echo that's sitting up there, where I will not mention her name, because if I do, she'll start screaming like a little girl. Dude, I did. I'll change them back. Watch this. There's yellow, and there's my red. There we go. There's the red. All right. Now the strip lights, because they're a different brand and they're not very expensive. Like I said, it was like 100 feet of light for $10. I have to use a different app for that. But no matter, I can just change those. If I want to change those to red, I should be able to do that. There we go. So now they just changed to red. How many lights were blue? Well, all of them. None now, because I've got them to red. Or I can make those purple. I actually like that color combo too. The red and the purple. Should I see if Alexa will listen to me? Alexa, change light colors to purple. Yes. Thank you. See, now the Echo will only listen when she wants to. Typical. All right. Anyway. I actually like the purple too. Now with the purple, I can go really wild and go completely opposite the color wheel and make my strip lights yellow. That's kind of a cool cool vibe. Your lights. Hey, culture, what's happening? I'm just playing with my my new fancy lighting right now. All right, let me put it back where I had it. I had that blue, and then now if I just use the app, maybe Robbie's lights won't, screw up. Actually, should I pin the Let me see if I can pin the StreamYard link. Hmm. All right, I'll do it from the Mac. That way I don't have to let me remove that. And then I should be able to, actually, I'll do it from the PC because then I can get the audio in from my PC. I've not done this yet. So if I invite, copy, if I post the comments to okay, and then can I, as my I'll just do this. If I go as my radiator lets out a little steam, I don't know why it's so angry. As I get audio from YouTube also. All right, so if I do that, I should be able to pin it, which I've done. There we go. Now I'll go back to StreamYard. Where are you? There you are. Oh boy. All right, stop the screen and then a couple Facebook messages. Let me just send something now. All right, there's that. All right. I like that combo. All right. Oh. Let me see if I hit add to stage. I hear you. Mr. Jordan, I hear Christmas music back there. Uh-oh. And he's gone. Disappeared as quickly as he appeared. What is up with that? Okay, let's see. Let's see. I just gotta. All right. Back to my live chat. There we go. Actually, I got this thing pulled up in Studio One that I worked on. I think I forget how long ago it was, but let me. Do a couple of things here. Oh, there he is. There's Mr. Jordan. I don't know if you want to be on camera, but you're on StreamYard with me. I hear like Bing Crosby, or we just got to be careful that that doesn't come across YouTube too much. Let's see. Let me just mute his mic here. Oh, and he's gone. Oh well. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up. Yeah, let me pull up Studio One here. If I go share screen, if I go window, and if I go Studio One and share, bang. Sweet. All right, so Studio One is shared. Let's see. All right. Let me. All right, so there's Studio One. I think I want to go. Let's go to a picture-in-picture. Like that. I look good down there. All right. So I was working on this, I think a couple of weeks ago. I haven't heard it in a couple of weeks, but I think this was when I was demoing. Could be the scratch. Yeah, the scratch pads. But let me hear what I've got right now. I'm going to replace those drums, the drum loop. Whoa, hello. Somebody's messaging me on Facebook and I'm chatting. I love multitasking. Multitasking is my favorite. All right. All right, see if that works. So my quadrasynth has a bit of a Hey Solomon, how are you? Um, Quadrasynth has a bit of a quirk with the pitch bend. I had to disconnect it because every so often the pitch bend would automatically bend itself up, which I think is a problem with either the pot that's inside the wheel or it's the board itself. Should be okay now. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I know. Live streaming right now. Thank you. Bye. All right. So that should work. Solomon, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll try my best to answer it. Do something there. And here we go. All right. All right, Solomon. Actually, I do plan on doing a video on this, but I'll cover a little bit of it right now. When you're looking at purchasing your keyboard, um, is this your first keyboard? Are you upgrading to something? Are you getting back into playing? Um, so, so when you get a keyboard, um, ask yourself. There's a couple questions I would ask myself if I was getting my first instrument. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to play piano with it? Do I want to write with it? Do I want to just have fun with it? Am I just getting into playing? Um, okay, you want to upgrade. Okay, or do I want to upgrade from something? Um, So I've got a CK88 behind me, and I did a couple videos on the RD88, actually the RD88EX. I am not a fan of that piano at all, and if you watch my videos on it, you'll see why. I don't find the sound very natural. I really found the action quite fatiguing even after 5 minutes. But again, I had carpal tunnel surgery like 6 years ago, and my hands have not been the same. So, out of the ones that you had put in the chat, I highly, 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 highly recommend the CK88. It is a very versatile instrument. It has all your bread and butter sounds, any bread and butter sound you could ever want in a keyboard. It's a very flexible performance instrument, which it's really geared towards being a stage instrument. It's labeled a stage keyboard. So you can get all your piano sounds, acoustic pianos, electric pianos. It's even got some organ emulations in there with drawbars on it. So if you're a Hammond player, um, those should be familiar to you. It's also got a built-in Leslie simulator that's actually quite good for the price range. Is it a top quality Leslie sim like in some of the Hammond organs, like the SK series? Probably not, but in a gig setting, it's more than passable. It'll more than do the job. But as far as ease of use, portability, and value for the dollar, I would say you can't go wrong with the CK88. But I will be doing a video at some point on actually it'll be a bit of a series that I want to do. I'm thinking of calling it Key Talk. And basically I'll be covering topics like, buying your first keyboard, getting into playing, um, the different kinds of keyboards that are out there, like a piano versus a combo organ versus an all-in-one stage keyboard versus a workstation, a synthesizer. There's all different kinds of keyboard instruments out there, electronic keyboards. Mr. Jordan, how are you? Let's see. I would be very careful, like if you were going to come on StreamYard. I don't want to get any more copyright strikes by playing any pre-recorded stuff. So just be careful with that. Anyway. What was I doing? Oh, QS Plus. I can't remember what patch I had for this one heart. I want to say it was a bell pad. Yeah, that could have been a bell pad. Let's take a look. All right, let's see if I can find it. What do you mean, what? I think that's the patch. Yeah, I think that's the patch. So let's go back, check this out. It sounded like something was missing. That might have been it. Oh, hello. I've got no MIDI in. I wonder why. Let's try that. Yeah, I've got a few topics I want to cover. I also want to cover keyboard stands too. All right, I gotta fix something. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Why is that not working? Oh, that's weird. All right, I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to try opening it again and then see what happens. All right, that works. It's weird that I don't have... I'm going to try sending it to the DX. So the DX works MIDI-wise. Why does that one not work? Let's try the QS. All right, that works. All right, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to close out of Studio One. Gonna unplug and plug in my MIDI interface. Now I'm gonna start Studio One up again. And let's see what that does. I'm hoping that it's gonna work. So why is it going to the DX7 and not the QS Plus? All right, there it is. All right, crisis averted. All right, now let's go back. Let's what am I doing? We'll bring in Studio One. There we are. All right, now let's see if this works. There it is. All right, so there's where I stopped it. All right. Now, if I go back to my karma, so something like that. I don't know yet. Um, that's what I have so far on that piece. I'll show you a couple other things I'm working on. Let's go to the original stream. So this one I touched on a couple of weeks ago, and this is after trying out Cubase and not falling in love with it and going back to Studio One. I gave the DAW project file format a shot. Let me go back to there. It's already loaded up. I like that. Let me go back to my main camera while I'm talking about this. So when you save your project in a DAW, in the case of Cubase and Studio One, as far as I know, you have the option to save it as a DAW project file. And it's a file format that is supposed to be eventually universally compatible amongst DAWs. Right now, it's between Cubase and Studio One. However, when I saved this project in Cubase as a DAW project and brought it over here to Studio One, a bunch of things happened to where I couldn't use it. I had to re-record everything. Where I have separate clips here, they all started and stopped at different times. The external MIDI tracks that I had showed up as instrument tracks here in Studio One, where I couldn't. Oh, what do you call it? Where I couldn't assign them. I couldn't assign them to external instruments. I had to use software instruments, and the reason for that is actually, it would have been the other way around too, because I tried saving it as a DAW project and then opening it up in Cubase. Well, Cubase handles external MIDI different than Studio One does, in that Studio One lumps everything together that has to do with MIDI as an instrument track, whether it's a excuse me for a minute. Forgot I had these here. Whether it's an internal VST plugin like Omnisphere or Sample Tank or what else is there? There's a bunch of them. Or Falcon, or it's an external MIDI instrument where you're outputting to a MIDI interface. They're all instrument tracks in Studio One. Cubase handles things differently, where you have VST instruments, and you have two categories. You have a track instrument and then a rack instrument. The rack instrument is where, if you want to use a multi-timbral instrument like Omnisphere and you want multiple outputs from it and then multiple MIDI channels into the one instance of Omnisphere, that's where you would set it up as a rack instrument. If you're just using a single instrument, you would set it up as a track instrument. And then it's a separate external MIDI track if you want to use any outboard gear. So yeah, I mean, you can open a DAW project up in either Studio One or Cubase right now, but there will be some issues. And there will be a lot of them, at least from my experience. So until they iron out everything, I don't really recommend it right now. But let's see what I have now in this. Um, so I've got Stylus RMX where I've got a loop, Omnisphere where I've got a simple, I should have a simple pad sound. Why is it not? Why is it not showing up? I wonder. Do I have something muted? Or Omnisphere is not even loaded up. Let's try loading it. Oh, are you? Did it seriously? Wow. Okay. Good thing I don't have my computer window up because Omnisphere is making me register it again. I am not happy with this at all. I don't know why I have to redo this. I need to. I might need to reach out to Spectrasonics and figure this out. Like, why am I having to? Like, why am I having to? Let's see here. Why am I having to re-register Omnisphere? I shouldn't have to do that. So yeah, I will be reaching out to Spectrasonics. Like, I think I've had to re-register it twice in the last couple of weeks when I'm playing around with this. So yeah, not good. All right, let's try it now. There it is. All right, so now I can go back to Studio One, like that. And let's go through my tracks here. I have a loop. I've got a simple pad. I've got a bass sound. My piano. And then I've got 3 different mini Moogs. And that's interesting that the mini V's didn't even call up the right patches. So something's wrong with this file, I think. All right, well, we're going to have to fix that. All right. Let me stop my screen. I don't know why I can't see my my plugins. I should be able to. There we go. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my entire screen. So I want you to be able to see my I want you to be able to see the there we go. I want you to be able to see the plugin too. And not sure why wasn't working in StreamYard. All right. So I need to do some quick programming here. So what I'm going to do is go to a template, go to a one oscillator. And I'm going to do some quick programming here. Okay, turn up oscillator 2. All right, turn up the glide a little bit. There we go. Turn up that. All right, and now I'm going to go back to the first one and do the same thing. Kinda. The idea is I don't want this. Oh, Arturia, you got updates for me. Well, I don't feel like installing them right now, so shut up. Okay, and we'll turn on that second oscillator, bring it in. Bring up that sustain a little bit. Okay. All right, I'm going to delete that piano part because I want to play this through. I want to see if I even remember it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I added a to my studio. You can't really see it. It's kind of off camera. You can probably see it poking out of my out of the bottom left of my camera. If I go full, is a looks like a JL Cooper MSB Plus MIDI patch bay. And the only thing I'm using it for right now is to merge these two keyboards into the XR18 MIDI in. So I basically have a choice between a weighted controller and a non-weighted controller or a semi-weighted controller. So I have, as that stupid radiator goes off again, so I have a lighter action for playing things like organs and synths, and then I have a weighted action for playing piano parts, like I'm about to right now. All right, let's give this a shot. Making sure that I don't touch the keyboard on my Mac and using the keyboard on my main computer. All right. Thinking about replacing my desk at some point too. All right, let's try this. So that kind of went okay. So that's kind of what I'm working on there. Um, 1 second. So I got a few things that I'm cooking up here that I started on stream. Um it's probably going to be best if I finish them off camera because then it's like less pressure on me. Um but then I can kind of explain some of the things that I'm doing as far as arranging and things like that. And I already know that I'm never going to play that piano part like that again. But then again, that's just me. Hmm. Let's see. Um, could start something else. Actually, I can show you something else. Um, let's see. Yes, I want to save the changes. I can go to stream number 3, and I've kind of named these, um, like based on my stream. Um, and I started this one, I think, a few nights ago when I just got Superior Drummer, um, Superior Drummer 3. And I spent a lot of money on that, so I gotta wait to get any of the expansions. But let's see. Once that's called up, let's go to Studio One. There we go. And we'll see what I have right now. And we'll just play what I have. I'm gonna go ahead and mute. Right now, I just got a basic jazz trio, so I've got Superior Drummer open. And then I've got Trillion, which has my kind of got my electric upright custom multi in there. And then I have piano verse. I don't remember which piano I have in there. I think I have let's find out. Oh, I got the Busendorfer. That sounds like this. So that's what that sounds like. Although I really like that Fazioli that's in the key suite from UVI. I got family members messaging me on Facebook, yet I am doing a live stream right now. Need to go away. All right. I want to try this Concert Grand Yamaha. I might go through this plugin too on a live stream at some point. So this is Piano Verse. And we'll take a listen to each of the pianos in here. We'll talk about its features and things like that. So in addition to the keyboard reviews that I have, I'm thinking about starting another series with taking a look at some virtual instruments. And then possibly like making music with them too. So I might look at the Korg stuff in one stream. I might look at some of the UVI stuff some IK Multimedia, Omnisphere, all that stuff. Okay, that one's not bad. Um, let's try the I'm gonna give the New York Grand a try. So this is a is there not like a yeah, natural New York? Where are you? There you are. Let's try this one. And normally I'm not this is gonna sound surprising to some people, but I'm not a Steinway fan. Um I've played a 7-footer, and then I've played 3 different 9-foot Steinway Model Ds. Um, as amazing as, an experience as it was, I don't know. I There was a part of me that didn't quite connect to those pianos for some reason. Um, I myself, um, I like Busendorfer pianos, and I do like Yamaha pianos. I love Yamaha pianos. But as far as like really, really high end sounding pianos, I like Fazioli. So those pianos are made in Italy, and I also like the Busendorfer, made in Austria. Like those are my two top like piano sounds. No, I don't take requests. um, that's on a different show. Let me go to my piano here. So one thing that I'm noticing, and I'm controlling Pianoverse from a CK88 that has the Yamaha GHS action. They call it graded hammer standard. Um, the action responds okay to the internal sounds on the CK88, but as far as triggering Pianoverse, it's not quite natural. I find the harder I go, it takes a lot more effort than it should to get a bright sound out of it. So I gotta go over here to the velocity curve and adjust it a little bit. I think I gotta bring that up a little more. Um, I still find it a little unnatural. Now it also depends on the request too. Like a specific song, I'm not really good at, but as far as reviewing something, um, that's a little difficult because everything that I have here in the studio and everything that I've reviewed, I've either owned or I've borrowed from somebody to do the review. And as far as a plugin goes, if I review a plugin, I don't mind taking a request to review a plugin as long as I own the plugin. Or I have some way to get like a temporary license on it where I can really evaluate it for a period of time, like I did with Cubase. I did that through Splice, which gives me a 14-day trial, and then it was going to be 17 a month. So I actually tried it for less than a week, Cubase, and did the review and tried working with it, and it just wasn't for me. And there were a couple of things about Cubase that immediately turned me away from it, and it really had to do with MIDI editing and stuff. Um, but so I'm sure there's ways that I can get around doing that. But as far as like say a DAW or a plugin, as long as I own the product myself, currently, and I don't have to go out and buy a $400 license or a $300 license, which on my income, I cannot afford. I would, certainly not mind taking requests to review stuff. But as far as playing songs, um, here, I prefer unless I upload a cover, which is a very rare occasion. I've got a couple of Elton John covers on my channel, but that's not really the direction I want to go in. As my radiator goes off again, um, doing cover songs on YouTube is not really the direction I want to go. I really want to keep it to original music, plus, reviewing either keyboards or synthesizers, or even as I'm talking about VST plugins or even DAWs, um, and basically just talking music more so than doing covers. Uh, all right, I'm gonna try this. Yeah, thing as far as tastes in music, we can't. Um, I've heard this said on another YouTube channel. You can't really like everything. I mean, you probably can, but um, there's just things that don't move me the way that other types of music. There's some types of music that just doesn't have an impact on me, um, the way that other types of music do. Like, I would say I'm huge into 70s and 80s melodic rock and pop, as well as soft rock too. If I were to name you some artists right now, um, the top level would be Toto, and then if you start going down the ranks a little bit, right underneath Toto would probably be um oh gosh, it's so hard. So I'm a Toto fan, but then I like Elton John, Billy Joel, Christopher Cross. I'm also a big fan of Alan Parsons Project, Peter Gabriel. Um, gosh, who else? Kenny Loggins, surprisingly, like his 70s stuff and his early 80s stuff, I quite like. Um, and then I'm also a big fan of a jazz group called Foreplay, and that's the original lineup, I believe, was Nathan East on bass, Bob James on piano and keys, Harvey Mason on drums, and they had a few different guitar players. They had Lee Ritenour, they had Larry Carlton, and then a couple other guys. So I'm a huge fan of them. Um, as far as like individual players go, Steve Porcaro and David Page are top shelf for me. And then you've got guys like Greg Fillinganes, really any session players like that. So good. Um, and then you have obviously you've got the great prog, legends like Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman, Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater. You could also put Derek Sherinian up there. I'm also a Steve Winwood fan. I love his solo stuff, especially like his self-titled up through Roll With It. Like those, I think those like probably 5 albums, maybe 6 albums. I lost count, but I do have them all down. I do have them all down there in my vinyl collection. So things like that. But and then I'm also into. I also really like Phil Collins. Like I would say his '80s solo stuff. I'm a big Chicago fan, and I would say '70s into the '80s. I actually grew up on '80s Chicago before I discovered the brilliance of the '70s era, like Terry Kath stuff. But the '80s up to like '89, anything after that, I'm just not a big fan of. I think once they parted ways with David Foster, it just kind of it lost something for me. Hmm. Oh, Kate Bush and simple just do not belong together in the same sentence. I could never play any of that stuff, to be honest with you. Not unless I like charted it out and studied it, things like that. Um, but I really like the first 5 albums. So good. Um, yes, roundabout. I did see them. I saw them in 2002 with the classic lineup with Anderson, um, Squire, Howe, Wakeman, and then Alan White on drums. So I saw that lineup. Roundabout was one of their encores, and it was really the only big hit that they played. They didn't play Owner of a Lonely Heart. They didn't play I've Seen All Good People. Thank God, because I didn't really need to hear those. I think the encores were like Roundabout and Starship Trooper. I think those were the 2 encores, but you go beyond Roundabout, there's other like even more brilliant stuff. Um, I'm also a fan of the first couple of Asia albums, actually the first 3. Um, I haven't yet dug into the John Payne era of Asia, so you're talking '90s into the 2000s, except for a couple of albums from the 2000s that I quite like. Um, but for me, I'm a big fan of, like I said, top shelf stuff would be Toto and not just Hold the Line. Um, I would say Chicago had a couple of keyboardists. They had Robert Lamb, who's I believe still with the band, and then Bill Champlin played guitar and keys. And I think they had Chris Pinnock on guitar for a time as well in the early '80s. But I think for a while they had 2 keyboardists, and I don't think either one of them played on the David Foster stuff. I think he played them all, and then he hired a bunch of session guys on those albums too. Um, but anyway, yeah, and then I got a ton of other stuff in, back there. If I were to name it all off, not just keyboard bands either. Like I've got some Brian Adams in there. I've got um the first 6 Bad Company albums with Paul Rogers on vocals. I've also got, if I keep going, I've got a little bit of Beatles. Like I've got the 62 to 66 and 67 to 70 compilations. I've got the White Album. I've got Sergeant Pepper's. Um, I've got the first 3 Boston albums in there. I have Chicago 1 through 20, so their first 20 albums in there. I've got I think like 3 or 4 Dire Straits albums. I really like Mark Knopfler a lot. I've got Michael McDonald era Doobie Brothers in there. Um, I've got Christopher Cross's first 3 albums. I have, the first, um I've got all of the Eagles '70s stuff in there. I've got all of ELO's stuff up through, Balance of Power. So um the entire original run before, before the big hiatus, and then they came out in, I think, the early 2000s with an album called Zoom. That's the only one I don't have. Not a big fan of it. I did hear it, but I'm not a big fan. I've got some Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but not everything. I need to get a copy of Tarkus. And then I don't really see the need to own either of the Works albums or Love Beach. I have no need for those ones. Keeping going, I've got, some of the Buckingham Nicks era Fleetwood Mac in there. I've got the first 6 Foreigner albums in there. I have 6 Peter Gabriel albums in there. I have some Genesis in there, mostly, Phil Collins era, but I've got a couple of Gabriel era albums in there. Um, Keeping going, I've got some Heart in there. I'd like to get the entire discography up through Brigade. I think I'm only missing like 2 or 3. Um, I have some In Excess in there. I think I've got like 3 or 4 albums. Not a huge fan, but the stuff that's good to my ears is really, really good. I've got Michael Jackson's first 4 albums from the Epic label, because he had 4 albums that came out on Motown before Off the Wall. And I've got those in the original pressings, as well as I've got some picture discs. I've even got a live bootleg in there from, I think, the Bad Tour. And I forget what the name of the bootleg is. I think it's called King of Pop or something. I've got the entire Billy Joel discography minus River of Dreams. I have the entire Elton John discography up to The One on vinyl. And then if you go to CDs, I have Made in England and The Big Picture. I need to get the 2000s era stuff, and then maybe a couple other things, but I really want to listen to those first to see if I really want to have them. I've also got, I don't think I have the entire original Kansas discography up until, I think I have it up until Power. So I've got the self-titled Song for America, Mask, Leftoverture, Point of No Return, Monolith. Then I have Vinyl Confessions, Audio Visions. And then I have, I think, Drastic Measures. I might have Power in there, so I've got most of them. Let's see, what else? I'm just naming stuff off the top of my head. If I were to go through Discogs, we would be here all night. I've got the first 5 Huey Lewis and the News albums. My favorites are Picture This up through 4. Small World has some good stuff. The self-titled album, the first album, I listened to it once. I don't remember a thing from it. I think they were still trying to find who they were, and I think they got there with the second album. Great, great album. I've got Richard Marx's first 3 albums on vinyl in there. I've got a ton of Little River Band. Huge fan of that stuff. Like, I love big, vocal harmonies. Keeping going, I've got a couple of Mellencamp albums, even though I'm not a big fan. There's a couple songs here and there that I like, that really perk up my ears, but for the most part, not a big fan. If I keep going, I've got David Gilmour era Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon up through The Wall. I do not have the final cut. I have no need to own that album. I've got Momentary Lapse of Reason in there, and then up in my cassette area, I've got the Division Bell. Keeping going, I've got the entire original Queen discography. I'm missing Live Killers, which is the live album right before the game. I think it was done during the jazz tour. So I got all that. If I keep going, I've got all of REO Speedwagon's albums except for the Mike Murphy era, maybe one of their albums. So I'm only missing 2 from that catalog. Keeping going, I have the entire Rush discography from the self-titled up through Presto. Hmm. Yeah, I just saw your Rush comment. Yep. So I've got all that stuff. If I keep going, I've got some more. I've got some Boz Scaggs albums. I got to look and see which ones I have. I need to get Down to Then Left. I know I need to get that one. I think I have Middleman, but I'm not sure. I do have Silk Degrees. I do have Other Roads. I have most of Steely Dan's discography. I don't have Can't Buy a Thrill. I don't have Pretzel Logic. And I don't have Countdown to Ecstasy. So I need to get those 3. Um, if I keep going, I've got most of the Styx catalog. Um, and I'm talking maybe the Tommy Shaw era. Everything from Grand Illusion up through I think Paradise Theater or Kilroy Was Here. I don't know why I have Kilroy Was Here. I am not a fan of that album. Probably need to sell it on Discogs. Um, I got a bunch of albums I gotta go through this and see what I really don't need. Um, if I were to keep going, believe it or not, I do have some BJ Thomas in there. I've got a lot of like, easy listening things in there. Huge BJ Thomas fan. What a voice that guy had. Oh, amazing voice. Um, not only did he do secular stuff, but he also did some gospel stuff. The gospel stuff, in my opinion, is just as good um, as his secular stuff. Um, I've got the original. I've got all the Talking Heads stuff, even though it's a catalog I need to dig deeper in. I'm really a fan of Speaking in Tongues and Little Creatures and parts of Remain in Light. Um, and that's a catalog where I really have to sit down and digest it. I can't just have it going on like in the background. Same thing with Kate Bush. Kate Bush and Talking Heads, those are catalogs you really want to sit down and digest and, bring in, and just try to take in what's going on because there's a lot going on in a lot of that stuff. Um, all right, keeping going, I have Tears for Fears songs from the Big Chair. I have the entire Toto discography up to Past to Present on vinyl. And then on CD, I have Kingdom of Desire, Tambu, and Minefields. I'm missing Through the Looking Glass, which is a covers album, not really worth owning unless you're willing to pony up the $50 or $60 it would cost to get that album on Discogs or eBay. I'm also missing an album called Falling in Between that came out in 2006. And that's also a relatively expensive CD to get. But I have Toto 14, 40 Trips Around the Sun, 40 Tours Around the Sun, the live album, and then I've got Old as New, all on vinyl. Actually, I'll show you the 40 Tours Around the Sun vinyl. That's a pretty special. Second. I'll go back to my camera. So here's 40 Tours Around the Sun. And this is an orange vinyl. There we go. And it's a triple vinyl. Oh, I love Georgie Porgy. That tune is, I would say, Give me a second while I put my headphones on. Um, that has an unmistakable groove to it, that only a band like Toto could get. And you're talking about guys that were session guys. And that's how the band was kind of formed. A lot of them actually played in a band called Still Life in high school. Then they went on to do a bunch of session work, and the majority of the band played on Boz Scaggs' album Silk Degrees. That was kind of the genesis of that band. They recorded like 3 or 4 demos in '77, and Columbia gave them a record deal, and then their debut album came out in '78. But yeah, I love the groove for Georgie Porgy, and there's a lot of different live versions of that too, that are quite good. Um, anyway, if I keep going, let's see. I've got most of the Ultravox catalog. Um, really like the mid-year era of Ultravox. Brilliant stuff. If I had to pick a favorite album, probably Vienna. Um, Such a good album. Um, And if I keep going, I've got, like I said, Steve Winwood. I've got the self title. I've got Arc of a Diver. I've got Talking Back to the Night. I've got Back in the High Life. I've got the Chronicles album with a couple of remixes. I think there's a remix of Valerie, and then I think one other tune. And then I've got Roll With It, and then I've got Refugees of the Heart. That was a tough one to get on vinyl. I've never actually seen it. And then he's got 3 more solo albums that I need to get my hands on. I need to get Junction 7, I need to get About Time, and then I need to get 9 Lives. Mhm. Yeah, Hold the Line is it's a bona fide hit, but really, really dig into the deep stuff. And I would say for anybody that's not a Toto fan, if all you know from Toto is those 3 big hits, like Rosanna, Africa, and Hold the Line, you're really missing out on a deep catalog because no 2 Toto albums sound the same. Um, they've got an album called Kingdom of Desire, which is a really heavy rocking album, similar in vein to the Isolation album from '84. Um, and then they've got an album called Tamboo, which for me is the album that I use to tune a sound system just because it is so um it's just so perfectly recorded. Like you can hear everything like on that album. And then keeping going, I've got most of not a whole lot of Yes stuff, believe it or not. I've got Fragile, I've got Yes songs. I think I have Close to the Edge, but I can't remember. I've got 90125 and I got Big Generator. Um, Really all I can think of off the top of my head because there's about 1,000 albums in my vinyl collection. When you get to the jazz stuff, um, I've got, like I said, I've got some Bob James in there. I've got a ton of Lee Ritenour. I've got a ton of Pat Metheny. I'm a huge Metheny fan. Um, I've got some Keith Jarrett. I've got a couple of Brubeck albums. Again, that's a catalog that I've got to really go through and kind of show you what I have. I do have an album in there that's a Sheffield Labs album called James Newton Howard and Friends, and it's James Newton Howard with David Page, Steve Porcaro, and Jeff Porcaro. And it's an all instrumental album, and it was a direct to disc recording, and it sounds phenomenal on vinyl. Really, really good album. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to making some music. Mm, mm. All right, so this tune, let me go back to Studio One. Oh yeah, I skipped over the Journey stuff. I forgot to mention that. Um, what do I have? I have everything up through Raised on Radio. Anything after that, I'm not big on. Like nothing's really grabbed me. So I have the first 3 albums before Steve Perry, which are the self-titled Look into the Future and Next. And then with Steve Perry, you've got Infinity, Evolution, Departure, Escape, Frontiers, and Raised on Radio. Then they split for a while. Came back in 96 with an album called Trial by Fire that does absolutely nothing for me other than maybe like one song. And it wasn't the hit either. Let's see. I don't own any Herbie, but that doesn't mean I'm not a fan. I do like Herbie, but it depends on that's another catalog I really got to dive into, and it's another one where I've really got to listen and see what's going on. But I think what I might do also is it's another YouTube channel that I watch regularly called Sea of Tranquility, and they do things like album reviews, album rankings. They have some shows where they pick different topics, like say, oh, your favorite album from 1976, or they talk about the album before the big one. So they talk about a band that released a very, very popular album, and they talk about the album that came up before that. Or they might talk about the greatest album bombs. So albums that like, completely failed in, business wise. So I might think about doing some things like that here on the channel. I'm not sure yet, but something to look into. But if I do an album ranking, I got to start small. I won't be ranking Elton John's albums because there's about 30 to 40 studio albums there. That's a lot to get through. Anyway, back to making music. All right. I got to remember how this goes. Oh, 7 people watching. Sweet. Thank you guys for hanging out. A lot of meandering and a lot of talking about stuff, but I want to play some music. Yeah, I forgot it. All right, I think I remember a little bit of it. It's just my if you're talking about the other channel, it's called Sea of Tranquility, but if you're talking about mine, it's just my name. And to anyone watching on Facebook, I'm talking to the YouTube chat. I don't really have a way to put it up into the stream yet. unless I highlight, a comment through StreamYard. I think I remember it. So the second time around, I go to a major like for a split second. So that's kind of how that there's a little bit of a glimpse as to how I write. I'm going to go back to my main camera so you can kind of see how I play through this. There we go. That's kind of an idea of how I write. Is I'll play through stuff, repeatedly, so I can get kind of a grasp on how the song, developing the song really. And as I play through it repeatedly, ideas start to develop, and I get an idea of how the song should go. The song, in a way, I would say in 50%, I have to coax something out of the song, and then 50% the song kind of writes itself. So for example, with this one, once I get to that end, I'm going to try it again here. I'm not going to track it. I'm just going to play. Actually, you know what I will do? I'm going to go here for the bass part, and I'm going to go ahead and write a bass line in. So a quick little turnaround there. Let's try that. Do I have a pre-count on here? Yes. Turn my headphones up a little bit. Here we go. So there's that. Now I'm going to play through the second time through the A section, and then we'll try that section. Let's come back here. Oh, well, if I went to my piano track, that might work. So something like that to come out of that. I'm going to do it one more time because I can. All right, here we go. All right, so I've got. And then that's going to be my lead into back into the A section, I think. Yeah, I love doing borrowed chords and modal interchange like that because it just like tugs on my heartstrings anytime I hear that. Yeah. There's so many ways you can walk up and walk down. I can do a parallel with the left and the right. Then add some counter melody into the, some counter harmony into the. And I love diminished chords too. And then I can walk up, like keeping the root note. And then going up to the 10th. Walking up that 5. And then I could start to fall a little bit. And I love a 1 over flat 7. Because then there's so many things I can do with that too. All right, let me put this bass line in here. Because then we're kind of going around backwards around the circle of fifths. So we're going in fourths. Which is a very common chord progression, but it's one that I love endlessly. I don't care. I will never get tired of that progression. I'm like a 1-5-6-4. Yeah, no. So coming out of this, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not going to go to the 5. That would be expected of me. Actually, no, it wouldn't, depending on who you talk to. All right. I'm going to play this from the beginning. Actually, from the... so the bass is going to go around a couple of times. I just want to see what happens. That's the turnaround right there. Back into the main section. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all of this stuff. I'm gonna go back to Studio One so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so down here in the piano roll is the bass part. Zoom in so I can see that. All right. If I grab that and just duplicate it, now it's gonna, after that turnaround, it's gonna go back in. All right, let's try that. There we go. Yeah. Love it. All right. Save it. What else was I going to explain? I was going to explain. Oh, I had a thought. And if I could afford it, I would. I feel like this needs like a soprano sax on it to play that melody. Yeah. I'm not talking about that radiator going off. What can I do about that? Shut the gate off. There we go. save that. And back to camera 1. I've been going for a good 2 hours 20. Let's see. What else do I want to try out? Oh, I can go back and oh, let's see. What's the other? I started another one too that I think is finished. Back 3 weeks ago, I think I tried it when when did I do this piece? I think I was doing the yeah, thanks radiator, be quiet. Oh, this was the piece. Let me bring up Studio One again. So this started out as the demo for when I did the review of the MX61. And let me see here. If I play this, I need to see. All right, so that's that. QS has the flute. All right. All right, so I need to go back to camera 1 and I need to program the 2600 because I don't have the SE1X for my bass, which I need to be able to do this. So I'm gonna grab. Oh, stop it! Go away. All right. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Not. All right. I will at some point be doing a video on the 2600. And this is the Behringer 2600 that I have. Hey, have a good night, culture. Thanks for hanging out. Okay. All right, I need to pitch this. All right, I got that in tune. All right, need to make that a saw wave. So The thing with the 2600, if you're watching this and you're not familiar with it, in order to change waveforms on the 2600, on the not only just the Behringer, but any like the ARP 2600, the original, or the Korg reissue, you have to patch it with patch cables. And I happen to have some patch cables right here. That was meant to be funny, by the way. All right. All right, so we grab a patch cable. And on oscillator one, I have two outputs. I've got a saw and then I've got a pulse. Now, the thing is with the 2600, and I'll explain quickly, you don't have to use any patch cables to get sound out of it. But this is an instrument that really comes to life when you start using patch cables. So we're going to patch into the saw. And we're going to go into the mixer. And we got a sawtooth. I want to do a triple oscillator saw. So I need to grab another patch cable. And then go into oscillator 2, sawtooth output, and into audio channel 2 on the mixer. All right, so we got our 3 oscillators. Now we need to create a bass sound. We're going to do that by dropping the filter down. And then I've got a slider over here in the filter control that is hardwired to the ADSR envelope. All right, let's play the track, see what that sounds like with this. All right, I need to get a bell pad. is. And then we'll save it, make sure I got it. Now let's see what that sounds like. All right, so that piano sound should be the 80s layer. There it is. And then I want to swap out those Steven Slate drums with Superior Drummer. I really want to hear what the 2600 sounds like. Fix that. Mellotron strings shouldn't be Mellotron strings. What am I doing? All right, store that. Now let's listen to that middle part. Yeah, this song is almost done. I just need another part in that chorus section, and then I need to take all the MIDI tracks that I'm using audio on, and I need to bounce them down. Um, the MX61, I've got multiple parts going on, so I'm gonna have to bounce those separately. Unless I take the MX61 and send that to the CK88, which I could do. And I've already bounced the Karma string, so I could use that for something else. All right, so those two mini V3s, I want to spread them out even more. And I want to drop them down in volume a little bit. One more time. So that part's empty a little bit. All right, I'm gonna save that. Wow, it's 10:30. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a stream right now. It's about 10:30 at night over here. I do need to get a little bit of a bite to eat and then get a little bit of sleep. I know. Yes. I need sleep. Might be late over in the UK if you're watching over there. I know that, but but I want to thank everybody for hanging out. Even though this was more of a hangout than what I normally do. I normally have something that I want to work on, but you know what? It's fun to do some different things every time. I absolutely do not mind that at all. So once again, if you have if you're watching this for the first time and you like what you're seeing here on the channel, make sure to, I'm just going to do the obligatory stuff. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to subscribe and also click the notification icon, the bell icon, so that you're alerted anytime I go live or a new video is posted. I don't have a regular schedule for uploading videos. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I don't have a schedule for uploading videos or going live because I have such a busy schedule. I do have a couple of weeks off from school. So I help teach music and then I also teach a couple of piano lessons. But I got a couple of weeks off around the holidays. I have to record a couple of drum tracks, and then I have another recording session during that time. But I should have some time to upload some more stuff, possibly do another live stream. Don't know what's going to be on the agenda next, but we'll see what happens when we get to that road. But in the meantime, everyone here on YouTube and over on Facebook, thank you so much for checking this out and for tuning in and for hanging out. And for everybody that watches this on the replay, on the catch up, I like ketchup, by the way. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.